Have you ever heard a family story that sounded just a little too good to be true? Maybe someone told you your last name was changed at Ellis Island, or maybe you grew up hearing that you're related to a king, a princess, or someone famous. These stories are fun to hear, and many of us grew up believing them. But in genealogy, some of these popular stories are actually myths, and believing them can send your research in the wrong direction. Today we're going to talk about some common genealogy myths that beginner and even intermediate family historians often run into. We'll break them down, explain what really happened, and look at some real examples along the way. So settle in, grab something to drink, and let's start busting some genealogy myths. Myth number 1. Our family name was changed at Ellis Island. This is one of the most common genealogy stories out there. The story usually goes like this. An immigration officer couldn't spell or pronounce the family's last name, so they changed it on the spot. A long foreign name supposedly became something short and simple, like Smith or Brown. It sounds dramatic, but it's mostly never true. In reality, Ellis Island officials didn't randomly change people's names. They worked from passenger lists that were created before the ship ever left Europe. Their job was to check names off those lists, inspect passengers, and keep things moving. They didn't have the authority or the time to rename anyone. There are no official records showing mass name changes at Ellis Island, no government orders, no lists of new names being handed out. So why do so many families believe this myth? Because names did change, but usually after arrival. Many immigrants chose to change or simplify their own names to fit in, avoid discrimination, or make life easier. In those cases, names were spelled differently by clerks who wrote what they heard. Over time, those spelling changes stuck. Here's a real example. Genealogist Julie Shapankovich researched her German ancestors with the surname Rupert. When they arrived in the United States in the 1850s, their passenger list showed basically the same name, with only one small spelling difference. Ellis Island wasn't even open yet. But by the 1860 U.S. Census, the family was living in Detroit using the surname Roberts. The family slowly changed their name themselves as they settled in. This happens again and again in genealogy. If you hear, Ellis Island changed our name, take it with a grain of salt. Most of the time, the change came from the family, not from an immigration clerk. Myth number 2. Our last name has always been spelled one way. Many new researchers believe their family name has always been spelled the same way. After all, our name feels like part of our identity. But the truth is, spelling used to be very flexible. In the past, many people didn't spell their own names the same way every time. Record keepers spelled names how they heard them. Accents, dialects, and poor handwriting all played a role. There was no spell check and no official ID system like we have today. A name like Smith might appear as Smith or Smith. Johnson might show up as Johnston, Johnson, or Jansen. It's usually the same family, just different spellings. In one real research case, a single Irish family had 4 different spellings of their surname between 1800 and 1900. As a matter of fact, this happened in my family too. My great-great-grandfather was named Anton Francois. But when I started digging into church records, I found something interesting. Early records connected to his life used the name Francois, not Francois. In the St. Aloysius Catholic Church in Sauk City, Wisconsin, you can actually see this name change happen. The church registers show Anton moving away from the French version of the name, spelled Francois, to the German-style spelling, Francois. No Ellis Island official did this. There was no sudden government name change. Instead, the name shifted over time as Anton lived his life, attended church, and raised his family. The church records reflect how the name was being used in the community at that moment. This is a great example of what really happened with many immigrant families. Names evolved naturally. They changed based on language, spelling habits, and how people wanted to be known in their new home. So when we see different surname spelling appear in records, it doesn't mean somebody made a mistake or that a clerk changed it for them. Often, it simply shows a family adapting and settling into a new place. If you search using only one exact spelling, you might miss your ancestor completely. Here's a tip. Always search for spelling variations. If you're researching Schmidt, try Smith, Schmidt, or Smid. Be flexible. Early records did not care about correct spelling the way we do today. Your ancestor didn't disappear. Their name just changed shape over time. Myth number 3. Everything I need to research is online. We live in a digital world, so it's easy to think that everything is online. Genealogy websites give us access to millions of records right from home, and that's amazing. But here's the truth. Most historical records are not online. Experts estimate that only about 10% of genealogical records have been digitized. The rest are sitting in courthouses, libraries, churches, archives, and local offices. Records like old deeds, church records, probate files, family Bibles, letters, and diaries often exist only on paper. Some are on microfilm, others are still in boxes. Here's a real example. A genealogist named Charles McGee found an unusual marriage document while searching in a county probate office. It was a 1900 application asking a judge to allow a couple to marry immediately because they hadn't realized there was a required waiting period. That document was never digitized. You would never find it online, but it told a wonderful story about that couple's life. The internet is a powerful starting point, but it's not the finish line. If a record isn't online, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means you may need to dig a little deeper. Myth number 4. Online family trees and books must be correct. When you're new to genealogy, it's tempting to trust whatever you find online or in print. A family tree that goes back 10 generations looks impressive. A genealogy book from 1910 feels official. But written down does not mean it's correct. Many online family trees contain mistakes. Some are guesses. Others copied errors from earlier trees, and those mistakes spread quickly. Even published genealogy books can be wrong. In the past, some genealogists filled in gaps with guesses, or worse, made things up. A famous example is Gustave Anjou, an early 20th century genealogist for hire. He created hundreds of fake family trees linking clients to royalty. His work looked convincing, but much of it was fiction. Some of those false trees are still floating around today. The lesson? Always verify. Treat these trees and books as clues, not proof. Look for original records to back up every relationship. Myth number 5. DNA testing will tell me everything. DNA testing is an amazing tool, but it's not a magic answer machine. DNA tests give you ethnicity estimates and lists of genetic matches. What they don't give you is a complete family tree with names and dates. DNA might tell you that you and another person are related, but you still need records to figure out how. Ethnicity estimates can also change over time. They are based on current data and can be updated as science improves. DNA works best when combined with traditional research. Birth records, census records, wills, and church records give DNA its context. Together, they tell the full story. Myth number 6. We're descended from a Cherokee princess, or royalty. This is one of the most common family legends of all. Cherokee princesses did not exist. Cherokee society did not have royalty. These stories usually began with a misunderstanding or grew larger over time. The same goes for royal ancestors. While some people do have noble connections, most family stories like this don't hold up to records. In real cases, families who believed these stories often discovered something else. Immigrant farmers, pioneers, or everyday people whose lives were just as meaningful. Real stories are often better than the myth. Myth number 7. Our family has a coat of arms. Coat of arms were granted to individuals, not surnames. Having a last name does not mean you are entitled to a crest. Most family crest products are decorative, not genealogically accurate. If you want to research heraldry, trace your family first, then verify any coat of arms through official records. Otherwise, enjoy them as art, not evidence. Genealogy myths are common, but they can slow you down or send you in the wrong direction. When you let go of the myths, your research becomes stronger, clearer, and more meaningful. Check multiple spellings. Look beyond the internet. Verify what you find. Use DNA wisely, and appreciate your ancestors for who they truly were. Genealogy takes effort, but every true discovery honors your ancestors in the best way possible, by telling their real story. If you found this video helpful, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with another family historian who might be chasing one of those myths right now. And tell me in the comments, which genealogy myth have you heard in your own family? I'd love to hear your story. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Good luck with your research, and I'll see you in the next one.